I'm Tarot Oracle in this reading for TI. Now, I'm turning off likes and dislikes because the question is unusual and my answer is even more unusual. So, not sure how well received this is going to be. So, I have a reflection from this light over here. I'm kind of restricted on table space right now. So, the reading is for TI, and TI asked, I would appreciate you throwing cards for me. Okay, there we go. I've encountered your channel during a quiet period and happy to see you active again. Well, thank you. I enjoyed and learned as much from your videos in the meanwhile. Please note that I was an identical twin, but my sister did not survive being born. I felt strongly that that has impacted me somehow, and in my old age I ask myself, what's going on in my life? Why do some things go so horribly wrong for me? I need clarity and insight to what I don't have a clue about, and some direction. So let's take our time on this, because again, this is going to be unusual. Alright, so TI, we have drawn a oracle card for you. This is the Attraction of Opposites, which is an unusual card, but matching the thing. Seduction, temptation, magnetism, a passionate encounter, meeting halfway, coupling, sexual union. I don't take that exactly seriously as far as sexual union. I think this points to a man, and as well as I think this points to a man, this points to a man, and I think you have this overall feel of all of these cards of a man, which I'll come back to why I think that's important. So let's read the cards. We have the King of Swords, which is you trying to make your way through. So you received the communication. I think it hit you kind of hard. You were up on a wall, and I think you had sort of a delicate situation with that. Obviously, the Humpty Dumpty reference. Not only a delicate situation with that communication, King of Swords, but it seems that you got this communication at the wrong time, and it sort of affected you negatively. Death. I think that your identical twin was reincarnated, and I think that it's a guy, and I think that they're 11 to 15 years younger than you. Now, why do I think it's a guy? Again, we have this justice, this sort of a balancing act of this thing. We have the Two of Cups, which traditionally is a love interest type thing, and the love interest is not here. The love interest is more of a meeting or an encounter. So I think you've actually met the reincarnation of your twin. So that's the controversial part. I'll go ahead and throw that out there. Again, we have this Two of Cups, which is normally a passionate card, a loving card, but here we just have sort of two acquaintances. And the two acquaintances are meeting somewhere for tea, basically. So I think you've met them. I don't think you knew them for a long time, but I think you've met this person. So, and I think that that has sort of pulled you in a different direction than you would have gone had you not gotten the delicate news when you received it. So it seems like that drew you in a different direction because of what you heard, because of that information, because of the happenstance. And I think that instead of this lit candle, this celebration, we have this, candle gone out. We have things turned into darkness. So what I think about things going so horribly wrong, I think it seems like from here I don't see a bunch of horrible things going wrong. Almost maybe as if you're your own worst critic. We're all our own worst critic, obviously. But I think that this news has sort of affected you because it's pulled you in a different directions. And I think when things have gone horribly wrong, that you've tried to balance things you shouldn't have balanced, or you've tried to reach out and control things that you couldn't control. You tried to overstep your limitations, and it seems this overall theme of trying to do things that you can't do but you think you should do has sort of limited your expansion and your growth in some areas, and subsequently things have gone wrong stemming from that. So again, it seems that you tried to overstep your limits. You've tried to do things that you can't do, and that's turned into things going wrong. So we do have the darkness sort of overhead, that feeling of despair, or that feeling of I'm missing something, I'm not quite complete. The justice, the balancing act of trying to balance, your life in a way that you couldn't because, again, you tried to overstep your limits and tried to do things that you couldn't do and weren't possible. So again, we have the Two of Cups with this match of meeting. You have this happenstance meeting, not on stable ground either, but instead you have this unstable ground of a mess. So you met this person, you met your twin, the reincarnation, sometime when your life was a mess, sometime when you had all these things on the ground, everything was in turmoil, and you didn't quite get the full realization. I think you knew it sort of as a soul type feeling, that you knew that was your sister's reincarnation. However, it just didn't occur to you. It just didn't fully click because of the mess, because of all the things that were going on in your life at the time. But you did have a meeting, and you did know this person for a limited amount of time. So again, that news, this interesting thing, has pulled you in different directions that you would not have otherwise have gone. And I think that that's affected you. Obviously, this is affecting you pretty much if you're asking a random guy on the internet for, sort of what happened, or what you think, or what I think has affected you, or what things you could have done better, I guess, or whatever. But I think that overall you've had as many successes as you've had failures, and it's one of those things, again, where we are our own worst critic, so we tend to focus on our failures and try to get some leverage on learning or understanding why everything went wrong when it did go wrong. Overall, again, I think that you've met this person. I don't think it was a love interest. I think this is a bit much. The attraction of opposites, this being a love interest and things, I think that's a bit much. I think the Two of Cups probably was a bit much on here, but this is sort of mediated by the Two of Cups being two strangers having tea during a messy time in your life, rather than, a love interest. But so again, I think you've met the person. I don't think that they were a love interest. I think it was more of the attraction of opposites. I think that they had a personality that didn't exactly jive with you at the time. You had too much going on. You had a mess at home, and that distracted you from fully understanding what was happening at the time. But anyway, so think back to the people that you've met. Again, I think between 11 and 15 years younger than you. So let me know if you actually think that you know who that is, or you might know who that is, or something like that. So be interesting to hear back on this particular reading, because I'm making such a leap forward, or such a leap out there, which I usually don't do. I'm usually pretty conservative. I usually sort of bring it in a bit. But I feel strongly for this one. I feel like that that has enhanced your life a bit, meeting your twin. And I think that you could run into them again if you wanted to. But I'm not sure that you've made a lot of mistakes, or that has affected your life negatively as much as you think. I think, of course, it's pulled you in different directions. Of course, it's made a dent in your personality and your life. It definitely was some delicate news, and it definitely sort of, you've been trying to sort of balance that out and balance your life in the meantime from that. But overall, it seems like that you've had a fairly good life. I don't see any horrible failures or any terrible things. And I mean, you have a lot of cards in here that could point to terrible things. You have the Six of Swords, which doesn't exactly point to great things. You have, a lot of cards in tarot sort of point you to bad things, and I don't see any of those here. So again, I don't see any like major life failures caused by this or anything else. I just think it's something that was in your mind or in your on your consciousness that you thought about, that you're thinking, maybe I could have done something better, or maybe I could have made some improvements where I didn't because of this, but I don't think that's the case. Anyway, that is my reading. Let me know what you think about it. If you would like your own reading, please email me at tarot.and.coffee@gmail.com. In the description is the email address. I would love to give you a reading as well. Thank you for watching.